Annabel, thanks so much for joining me today on the Parasport podcast. We met, of course, in Stockport on my crazy walk around the beginning of September. But since I was so inspired and motivated and really pleased you could join me, but I started following your story, and frankly, my head's just spinning. So, World Cup footballer, skier, amputee, swimmer, model, pianist, and all sorts of things. Trips to Japan and stuff. Your socials are so busy with just you getting on and doing loads of stuff. But before we talk about kind of the sport side of it and titles and trophies, what has sport given you as a person?
First of all, can I just say you're a massive inspiration for doing that walk? It was so lovely to see you on that as well.
Oh, thank you.
But for me, I've played sports since I was very, very young, loads of different types of sports. And after I lost my leg, um, I did everything that I could to get back to where I was. And sport gave me my life back because it was my life before my amputation, and it gave that uh, familiarity back to me. You know, with such a crazy
Yeah.
few years, it gave me that safe space back. And, you know, it also taught me great resilience. I remember my first time trying to relearn to ski. I've skied since I was 3 years old, and I was
Wow.
at the snow dome, and I remember I just couldn't do it. I tried all the methods, and I remember crying on the slope, just being so, you know, disappointed in myself, thinking I just can't do it anymore. Um, but I spoke to my
Yeah.
mum, and we just persevered, and I am now back skiing with my family. I'm actually going on a family skiing holiday in 2 weeks. So yeah, it's taught me great resilience,
Wow.
but just giving me my life back.
Yeah. Brilliant. And I mean, I remember how I used to ski. I remember how tough I found that. Just generally. So just getting yourself about even just this beyond the skiing, getting on the lifts and getting in packed cable cars and stuff. Fair play.
Are the hardest thing in my family ski holidays because my prosthetic leg is
Yeah.
Bluetooth to my phone, and I have a specific ski mode which locks the knee at an
Yeah.
angle so I can ski. But when we get on a chairlift,
Yeah.
we have to put it back in walking so that I'm able to sit down and the knee's allowed to bend properly. And it's so chaotic
Wow.
because as soon as we get to the chairlift, my mum has to pull a phone out and get on the app, and it has to sync, and then the chairlift's coming behind us, and it's if we don't get it done in time,
Oh wow.
we sit down and my leg is kind of stuck in the air. So it's always a rush, and it's very chaotic, but it's really fun, really funny.
Blimey. And that can be doing all of that in like -10 and a blizzard as well. Not always just nice with blue skies. So
Literally.
yeah. Wow. And so tell us about like going back to the age of 13 when you did lose your leg, and what you know what had happened to get to that point and how you decided that that was going to have to happen. Just tell the listeners, the viewers, a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as I said, was really, really sporty, and my knee just started aching, and it was really strange because it was just out of nowhere. But because I did so much sport, I just assumed that, you know, it was an injury or I'd hurt myself or something like that. And for a while, I just kind of left it and just to see if it would get better, and it never did. And I was in school one day, and I remember phoning my mum saying, it's too painful. I can't be in school right now. And she, as a good mum does, said, well, if you're coming out of school, I'm taking you to get an x-ray. And so we went to get an x-ray, and the nurse just said it's not normal. And I had to be referred to another hospital for an MRI, and they told me it was an osteosarcoma, which is a very rare bone cancer. And so from that point
Mm.
on, my life fell apart. I had to have a year and a half of chemotherapy, along with an amputation. I actually chose the amputation because the doctor said to me that I could have kept my leg and they could have given me limb salvage, but it would have meant that I would never run, never jump, never ski, never play any sport ever again. And so I just thought, well, what's the point? Having a leg that
Mm.
looks like a leg but doesn't work like one. It just didn't seem like a very good option at all. And so I chose amputation, and that was definitely the best decision for me.
Yeah, yeah, and so after that, and presumably that was a not only recovery but to learning to use the prosthetic leg. And so when did sport come back into it, and kind of how did it come? Had to get back and do, or was it part of the therapy? Was it just ambition that you'd had from before? Yeah, how long after, and kind of like what was your real motivation for getting back and doing sport?
I was just so determined to get my life as close to normal as it was before as possible. And I was so determined to get on my leg, get walking. And I was actually one of the first, I think I was the first child in the NHS while still on chemo to be able to start learning on a prosthesis. And I remember the first leg that I had,
Yeah.
it was like a pirate's leg. It really was. It did not much for me at all. And it was really difficult to walk on. But then
Mm,
after practicing on that for a bit, because of the funds that I had from my GoFundMe raising for the Genie X3, the best leg out there at the time, I was able to get that leg and start walking on that one. And it just helped me massively. And I remember going to places like Tesco and Asda with my mum, and we'd go in the freezer aisle, and there's a little handle on the freezer. And so I would just walk up and down the
mm,
freezer aisle, holding onto the handle, just getting my balance, learning how the leg worked. And the second that that happened, sport was just back in my life. And I then
mm,
relearned to ski, as I said, and also with football, I hadn't heard of amputee football before, and especially like no, there was no
mm.
women's team at the time. And I remember seeing a tweet on Twitter, and it said that the first ever women's amputee football camp was being hosted in Poland. And I remember applying to it saying, oh, I really wish there was something like that in the UK. And they said, why don't you just come along? And so me and my mum went to Poland, having absolutely no clue what to expect of the football camp. And I
Mm.
met some incredible people. It's where I met Shelby Clark, the first ever women's amputee football player in England. And the team just grew from there. And it was just such a magical experience to have football back in my life.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And so you played for a club as well?
Not
Did you
at
start
the
playing club
moment.
football?
Yeah, I did. I remember I tried to go back to my original grassroots team for a little bit on my blade, which I,
Mm,
got from Move for Gen, which was I'm so grateful for.
mm,
But it wasn't the same,
mm.
and I didn't have the agility that I used to, and so I knew that amputee football would be the way to go, and so I did start training with the Everton men, which was such a great
Mm,
experience because they're obviously so talented and I learned so much from them. But
mm.
unfortunately, the women's team right now has run out of money, and so we're not training at the moment. And to be fair, it's worked out quite well for me because swimming has taken over my life as well now because I got
Yeah,
classified for swimming
yeah,
not too long ago, about 4 months ago. So there's so much going on right now for me with swimming as well. So it's lovely to
yeah.
be around sport again.
No, that's brilliant. And at what point did you kind of so initially you just wanted to get back into sport? I guess it felt a bit like normality again, or the new normality, and then um and when did you kind of think, right, I can use this to help other people? When was the kind of, I guess you did it for yourself initially, and then you realized actually you're inspiring other people, whether you were trying to do that or not, you just wanted to do it for yourself. So yeah, tell us about that.
I've always wanted to show people that no matter what you go through, you can always find a positive, and you can always, if you put your mind to it, achieve anything. And when we went to the World Cup and I won the Golden Boot, I just wanted to dedicate that to all those people that perhaps think that they can't. And actually, I wanted to show them that you can. And if you want to, you can do whatever you want, no matter what you've been through. And I think it really
Mm.
sunk in when a young girl, Millie, who was in hospital at the time, she reached out to me, and she had the same cancer as me. And she was actually in the same hospital that I was when I had my amputation. And she reached out to me on my website, and I went to go see her in hospital. And she's just incredible. But she used to be a football player as well. And she said that she saw me, and she wanted to, to play football the way that I was. And I think that was the moment that I thought, wow, I can really show people that you can get back in sport, and you can play the sport that you used to, even if you have lost a leg.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. And with the swimming, Annabelle, how kind of have you got aspirations? I mean, I see you're doing some regional competitions and things are doing really well. Have you got aspirations to kind of do that nationally and Paralympics stuff?
I I am so new to the swimming world. I have no clue what I'm doing, if
Yeah,
I'm being completely honest. I had my first
yeah,
big swimming para event actually the weekend just gone in Swansea, and all the Paralympians were there, and they were there in their proper swimsuits that went down to their knees. And I just had my kind of Amazon bought swimming costume. They were there with their leg rollers and the skipping ropes, and I just kind of hid in the stands reading my book. So it's very, very new to me, and um, I've only been classified for 4 months. But I think with the swimming,
yeah,
it's taught me to be happy where I am in sport, from going to the top of
yeah,
one sport of amputee football to the complete bottom of another. It's taught me to enjoy the journey and enjoy where I actually am in the sport. And it's okay not to be the
yeah.
best, and it's okay not to want to be the best, and just about having fun with the sport.
No. But kind of how I've seen some of the times look a bit crazy already, right? You're early on in your swimming career, and I guess there's kind of, it must be a bit weird because you're starting another sport. You've gone to the World Cup and literally got the golden boot in football in Colombia, and so it must just be the whole thing must be quite strange. But yeah, how far can you go with swimming? And it looks like you're really enjoying it. But yeah, what's the ambition?
Yeah, like you say, it is very strange going from the top of one sport to the complete bottom of another. Like going from winning the golden boot to having absolutely no clue what I'm doing in the swimming world. I was at my first big para event in Swansea the weekend just gone, and all the Paralympians were there in their proper gear, and then there was little old me just in my Amazon bought swimming costume, in the stands, just reading my book while they did all their, fancy warm-ups with skipping ropes and leg rollers. And I'm so new to it. I've only been classified for about 4 months. But it's taught me to just be happy with where I am in sport and just enjoy the journey. And it's okay not to be the best and not to want to be the best. And it's just with swimming right now, for me, it's just about having fun. And until actually
Yeah,
I have the time to obviously I respect all these swimmers that put the work in, but I just don't have the time to at the moment. And you know, maybe in the future, if I decide to go down that route, I might get a little bit better, but right now it's just about enjoying it and having fun.
yeah, yeah, totally. And what about the fashion stuff? How did all that come about?
I have always wanted to be a model since when I was really, really young. And after I had my leg amputated, it gave me something different about me. And I know many brands nowadays are looking for people with differences. And so I applied
Mm.
for Zebedee Talent, which is an inclusive modeling agency. And I got accepted. And it was honestly the day that I got accepted, I was ecstatic. I was so, so
Mm.
excited. And since then, I've just been modeling quite a bit. I did Birmingham Fashion Week 2 years in a row. I did London Fashion Week last November. So it's been such an amazing journey with modeling. Um, and just also showing people that, you can still be a model despite your differences. And actually, brands nowadays are looking for
Yeah.
people with differences. And listen, I don't mind at all. Some brands do want that token person that has a
Mm,
prosthetic leg or has a difference. And listen, use me all you want. That's
mm.
completely fine with me. And I've met so many amazing people along the journey, and I really, really love it.
Look, I mean, you've now got a platform for you're on. You've played football at the highest level. You're swimming. You're skiing. You're in the fashion world well and truly. How do you kind of think? Do you think about it in two ways? Do you think about it in being the best that you can be and enjoying each of those things as much as you can? And is there another kind of half of your mind that thinks, and while you're doing that, how can I be as kind of how can I inspire as many people that have gone through what you've gone through as possible? Does it work like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I promised myself after the horror that I went through that I would say yes to absolutely every opportunity that came my way. Because I think once you've been so close to losing your life, you want to experience as much that life has to offer. And,
Mm,
with modeling and football and swimming, I just want to experience all of it while I enjoy it. Because I think if you don't enjoy something, then I I don't see the point in doing it. Life's about enjoying every
mm,
second. And while I am enjoying my swimming, it's great. But if it gets really serious, I might lose the fun out of it. And I just also want to show
mm,
people that, like I said earlier, you can achieve absolutely anything that you put your mind to.
mm. Yeah, and do you get lots of people contacting you and kind of telling you their stories, and um, do you spend a lot of time basically kind of consulting, mentoring other people as you go along your journey?
I have had a few people reach out. Yeah, as I said, Millie, who the little girl who I went to hospital to see, she's doing really well now with her swimming and her football. But there has been some others, and I want to be there for anybody that I can. I have
Mm,
also just become the first ever youth ambassador for Bone Cancer Research Trust. And,
mm,
I'm going to be helping out with them quite a lot, speaking to people that are going through hard times. And just I want people to look at me and see actually that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I can get through this, and I have the strength to get through this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and how do you kind of navigate that balance between kind of raising awareness, being turned into an inspiration story, but I guess, how do you navigate that, and what do you wish people understood better about disability, and we'll say sport as it's para sport, right? But I guess it extends to fashion. So what do you wish people understood better?
Well, I don't see myself as disabled. I see myself as enhanced. My leg enhances me in
Yeah.
so many different ways. And I think it looks so cool. It might be a bit biased, but I think I look
Yeah.
so cool walking down the street with a piece of rope, basically half robot. And I think all of us are going to be
Yeah.
robots someday in the future. I'm just a step ahead of everybody. But in terms of
Yeah.
navigating, helping other people, I have an amazing mum who helps me help others. Sometimes it's better when my mum speaks to, I don't know, the mum of another young girl or a young boy who's going through the same thing. And she
Mm,
can share her experience with it, with being there to watch me go through that. And I'm so grateful for my mum. She's been with me every single step of the way, and she continues to stand by my side through everything with the modeling. She loves to tag along and just join me at all the photo shoots, all the runways, all the World Cups and the swimming competitions. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't be able to do anything that I do without her.
it's just so exciting. isn't it? I mean, you're just cramming so much in that just to be on that journey with you must be just a full-on sensory overload all the time, because it's
It's her.
inspiring. It's
Yeah,
she's seeing that you're excited, and then you're seeing loads of other people that are inspiring you as well, because you're meeting people that have gone through the same thing and are coping with it in different ways and all the
yeah.
rest of it. So I can just see that. I mean, it's such an exciting journey, and it really lends itself to, I know you're using social media a lot and stuff, and it just to get that message out there and get that inspiration out there, and it's really yeah, it's just a buzz. I know a few people since my walk that have started following the story as well, and since we met and for the first time. And but does it ever feel like pressure? Do you ever feel like kind of there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and sometimes you just want to switch off from the world for a bit and be quiet and deal with stuff in a quieter way, or are you cool?
I don't feel much pressure. I think, like I said earlier, if it loses the fun, then it's not.
Mm,
I personally wouldn't do it. So swimming does. If I'm starting to feel the pressure with swimming, it makes it less. It takes the fun out of it, and it's not as exciting for me. And I want to live my life and make the most of every single second. And if I'm not enjoying something, then I personally just don't see the point. I see it as a waste of time if I'm not having fun along the way.
yeah, totally. And what do you think, if sport really is that force for good, which I'm adamant it is, I'm sure you are, what do you want it to do better for young people, and what role could you play in that change?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think that sport is a lifeline for so many people. I know, especially in the women's amputee football team, that after what they've been through, sport is their life. It's what they love with a passion. And I think the one thing that I would change is that the FA don't support women's amputee football at all in the
Mm,
UK, and we have no money. So we cannot
mm,
train and we can't go to tournaments. And I just think it's awful because these girls, they love football and it holds them together. Seeing their team and going out and playing football and playing these other
mm,
countries, it's what they love to do, and it keeps them keeps them, I don't know, sane in I guess many ways. Um, and so
mm,
I would definitely have more money for not just women but the men as well, and the juniors. They rely on funds from the charity as well. So these young kids, they're part of this program, but actually as they work their way up, there's no money for them to develop and get into the women's team or the men's team, because there isn't one at the moment because there's no money. So I think that's what
no,
I would change for sure.
seems a bit crazy, doesn't it? Because I would imagine that the support. I mean, you talked to me when we were walking about and the joining bit, and that really stuck in my mind of how expensive all this is, and you're getting, there's a lot of support that amputees will require a lot of money to be able to get on with their daily lives, and really to have something like football teams and just organizing football teams that can provide so much inspiration seems like a relatively small bit of the overall picture, and it just seems a real shame that it isn't. And
Yeah,
okay, without, don't want to get political on it, but it would seem like the sort of thing that business would get involved with, that the public would get involved with, if there were perhaps a campaign around it. And yeah, I look out for that, because it'd be terrible shame if there's no, if people who want to play don't have that opportunity to play. It just
yeah,
seems crazy when there's so much going into other sports. and sport is clearly doing so much good generally.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
wonder
such
if
a
we
safe.
can navigate that and see if there's a way.
Yeah, I think it's a safe space for so many people. And I help coach the juniors as
Yeah,
well, and just seeing them on their crutches, playing with other people like them, they just love it, and I love it for
yeah,
them. And it would be such a shame if we obviously we have money for the juniors now, but it'd be such a shame if we, ran out and they couldn't have their camps, and it's not nice to think about.
no, no, totally. Well, need to do something about that. I also really enjoyed walking with your friend Izzy, who so
Yeah,
that
Izzy's
was in.
amazing.
Yeah, that was in that. So Izzy's also an amputee to people who don't know, and it was on the south coast. It was from Southampton, I think, and we hadn't really discussed how long we were going to walk. It was just, I'd assume she'd come out for a little bit and then go home or whatever. And anyway, she was there for 20 miles and didn't mention,
That sounds like
most
Izzy.
people
That
moan.
definitely sounds like her.
Yeah, it just stayed there. Didn't moan about anything at all. Just said that sometimes, after 20 miles, it can get a bit sore. But she was absolutely on it. It was really good. It was really good to walk with her. Um, okay, and so in anything, so obviously you said that you're kind of, you like to play things by ear. You want to say yes to as many opportunities as possible. Is there anything that you can see in the mix of stuff at the moment that might become more dominant going forward? What's the future look like for what you're up to?
I have been recently having quite a few acting lessons and American accent lessons because I think the acting is where I want to go in the future. I think that's where my path will go, and it links quite nicely with the modeling. I think they're very similar. But I've actually recently been cast in my first ever acting role in an upcoming show, and it's only one or two lines, but it is a start, and I'm honestly so excited for that
Wow.
part of my life to take off, hopefully.
I love that. I mean, we'd already spoken about all the other things that you're doing, and then we start talking about stuff that you're doing in the future, and those other things didn't get mentioned. You're doing something in addition to those. I love it. It's just full. And how do you kind of how do you like? Do you get to, are you making sure are you being good at just completely chilling out sometimes as well and relaxing? And yeah, what
Oh
about
yeah,
hold on? What
definitely.
about academic? What about school stuff?
I finished my GCSEs last year. And I
Yeah.
got all nines and one eight, which I'm so proud of after all the school that I missed.
Wow.
But I said I would give myself a year of doing all the football, the swimming, the modeling, the acting, and just see where it goes. And so from last September, I've been focusing really on modeling and acting, and obviously the sport I do. Um, and
Yeah.
there is times where you're so busy. So it'll be a week where you're doing everything every single day, and it's so busy, and it gets quite chaotic. But then there'll be a few days maybe where it's a little bit quieter. And so you have to enjoy the quieter days before you're back in doing everything all at once. So it's a crazy lifestyle. And my mum, who calls herself my momager, she loves it as well. And we're on this journey together, and
Yeah.
it's so fun. Like there's so much that life has to offer, and it's just so fun, and I'm just enjoying every single second.